Hello guys, how are you?
I'm Hardeep Singh. Welcome back to your own YouTube channel. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test, and speaking, you got guesswork. Please, guys, participate in everyday listening and reading practice test to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Press the bell icon for the upcoming notifications. Don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams.
Part 1.
You will hear a woman talking to a man about doing a gap year on a sailing ship called the Solana. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 6.
Hello, this is the A Plus World Academy. How can I help you?
Hello, my name is Marcia Vine, and I'm calling from New York. I'm interested in having my daughter enroll for a year sailing on the Sorlana.
How old is your daughter? Students of the World Academy are between the ages of 16 and 19.
She just turned 16, so she would be 17 if she enrolls for next year.
So, would she be looking at year 11 or 12 of high school?
I'm not sure. She's in year 10 now, so I suppose we would be looking at year 11 if she went next year. But I'm also open to her doing it in year 12 instead.
We still have places open for the next year. What information would you like?
Well, I've had a quick look at the website, but I thought I would call to get an idea of how it all works.
Where did you hear about us? Just for our records, we keep data on how people learn about our services.
Of course, actually, it was my daughter who told me about it, so word of mouth.
Okay, A Plus World Academy is a unique type of boarding school. 60 international students attend high school at sea on the oldest fully rigged sailing ship in the world. The Solana is a 90-year-old Norwegian tall ship. The students learn to sail the ship while they are studying and travel to 20 port cities over the year.
Where does it go?
The route changes slightly each year, but the Solana sails around Europe in the North Sea and the Mediterranean and across the Atlantic to ports in North and South America. Is your daughter interested in the 1 or 2-year course?
I think 2 years at sea might be a bit much. She told me it was just for 1 year.
Students can spend the first year on the ship, and if they qualify academically after that, the second year is land-based.
In Norway?
No, the land-based part of the course has students traveling to 6 countries around the world with place-based learning experience.
I think we are probably just looking at 1 year. What are the fees for the school?
The Solana Foundation, which owns the school, is not for profit, so fees are kept to a minimum. The cost for 1 year, which includes tuition, accommodation and food, is 60,000 euros. There is a €150 application fee on top of that.
Wow, but I suppose it is for a year. Do those costs cover everything?
On the website, you can see detailed cost for extras. They are hard to predict because they vary from port to port. But not included in the fee are transfer costs to Norway, travel insurance, visas, the uniform, sailing gear, phone costs, and pocket money. Without the flight to Norway and pocket money, extras are usually around €1,500.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 7 to 10.
Can you tell me something about the tuition? Is it compatible with the U.S. education system?
The academic year is from August to June. We offer Advanced Placement or AP courses. AP has a program developed in the US by the College Board, which offers college-level curricula and examinations to high school students. AP is a globally recognized academic program currently offered in secondary schools in over 100 countries around the world. It's also compatible for students who take their year in the second last year of high school, like your daughter would.
Will she spend most of her time working on the ship? When will she have time for lessons?
There are between 4 to 6 hours of class each day, like a normal school. Over the course of the year, classroom instruction is for about 900 hours, all taught in English. We usually have around 60 students and 10 teachers, as well as captain and crew.
What would she be doing the rest of the time?
Students get mandatory maritime training, and she would have to take part in the ship's night watches as part of the mariner crew and do all the scrubbing, cleaning and sharing the duties on board. She will develop life skills such as leadership, resilience, accountability and teamwork. Probably the toughest thing she will have to deal with on board is that there is no Wi-Fi. There's nothing unless we are in a port.
Yes, that will be challenging. Thank you. I'll talk to my daughter and husband and get back to you.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2.
You will hear a radio program in which the presenter is interviewing Mark Reynolds, the organizer of a food festival. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
Hello, Mark Reynolds. Thank you for coming in today. I hear the street food festival that you organize is on again this year. Fill us in on why this festival is so popular.
This will be the 5th year we've held it, and it has just grown in popularity every year. People can come into the city on a warm evening and wander around the different stalls to decide what they want to eat. We have street food from 35 different countries, all cooked instantly before your eyes. It is fresh, fun, and delicious. What is there not to love?
What happens if it rains?
Fingers crossed, that won't happen very often. But if it rains, there will still be a small number of stalls that'll move under the cover of the bandstand. We've decided to do that this year so that people can be sure that they get something to eat if they are making their way into the city, and it's unclear if it's going to be cancelled or not. Last year people saw cloudy skies and didn't make the trip, but in the end, it often didn't rain anyway.
When and where does it all start?
For reasons of space, we've moved from the main city square this year. It starts next week in Queen Victoria Park, just a few steps from the Queen Vic Underground station. Stalls open at 6:30, so it starts early enough to take your kids along for the evening, and everything closes at midnight. It's on 7 days a week for the whole month. But it's not just city folk who are coming in for the evening. Foodies and chefs from all over the country and even from abroad are having food holidays here, trying out all the different flavours and getting ideas for their own cooking.
What's your favorite part of the festival?
The smell is just wonderful. It lingers for more than a block from the park, and it just draws you in. Most people like the fact that they can come back night after night and have a different dining experience. With so many stalls and so much choice, it's great for them to know that it's open for a whole month, so they can try as many different cuisines as they want.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 16 to 20.
Tell us about the food that is on offer.
The most popular stand, without fail, is the Chinese stall, where they serve steamed pork buns. They are a kind of soft, steamed bread with barbecued pork and a sweet sauce. A lot of people have a pork bun as a starter as they are walking around, and then decide on their main meal. I have been told they are very addictive, and may be the reason many people come to the festival night after night. So that everyone is able to enjoy them, this year the stand is adding a vegan version of them. The colourful Mexican stand uses completely fresh ingredients, and all their dishes are made on site. They also have quite a show when a mariachi band arrives and performs every night at around 8 o'clock. It draws quite a crowd. The Spanish paella is always a great show to watch. They make it in an enormous pan as big as a table. You can have a wonderful dish of rice and seafood cooked in the typical Spanish way. They have 3 or 4 pans going at once with different flavours. The Scottish stand has haggis, which is a traditional food made from the innards of a sheep, which might not be to everyone's taste. People who aren't feeling so adventurous with spices and ingredients can have typical British barbecued food, which includes salads and baked potatoes. We are trying to attract people with all tastes. And who knows, people who've never eaten this kind of food before may be completely unable to resist the incredible exotic smells and try something new. The greatest number of the stands are from Asia, the continent that specializes in street food, and we add more and more Asian countries to our lineup every year. We want to encourage as much diversity as possible, so of course there is plenty of food from the Americas, Africa, Europe and Oceania as well.
It sounds like the only problem with going to the street food festival is deciding what food to eat.
Exactly.
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
You will hear a university tutor talking to 3 students about work placements they are about to do. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
Hello, my name is Anne Forster, and I'm your course supervisor for this year. You can call me Anne. Thank you for coming to see me, John. I already know you from class. And are you Catherine? Yes, thank you for agreeing to see us. This is Mark. Mark, John and I would like to talk to you about the field study we have to do for our company management course. Yes, I understand you are doing the study on fruit farmers, the fruit import company. I know that all three of you are due to take up your placement positions there next week. Has all that been organized?
Yes, we are all starting work at the company next week, but there's a slight problem. I'm going to be working at head office with the finance director. Mark is going to the warehouse, which is at a different site, and fruit farmers wants Catherine to travel to California with one of their import agents. I don't see how we are going to be able to work on any kind of report together. One, if we aren't all in the same country, and two, if we are working in three completely different sections of the company.
How do you feel about this, Catherine? I'm not as worried as John is about the distance between us. We can certainly keep in touch with conference calls and emails, but I do agree with him that it might not be too easy to agree on a study topic together if we are working in different areas of the business. I'm actually really looking forward to traveling to California. I've never been to the USA before. What do you think, Mark?
The topic of study is a bit of a problem, yes. Catherine and I are both working with the product itself, so we can easily find something in common to focus on. But I'm still trying to think of a way that we can connect John with the project. But my main concern is that if we are actually going to be doing work for the company, we might not have enough time to research for a project at all.
Well, that's part of the placement process. You do have to do some useful work for the company, so you'll have to find your own solution to that. Do you know what you are going to be doing in each of your placements?
I only know that I'm going to be working closely with the finance director. The 2 weeks that I'm going to be there will be the end of their fiscal year. So I imagine I will be preparing documentation for the shareholders and finalizing taxes for the year. It might be quite intense, but I'm certain the finance experience I get will be invaluable.
Without a doubt. I'm going to be just as run off my feet too, just in a different way. We'll be traveling around grape growers, checking the fruit coming off the vines, making sure it's packed and refrigerated correctly, and then helping with all the shipping and customs details from the port in Los Angeles.
I haven't been told what I'll be doing, just that my placement will be at the warehouse. So I suppose it will be warehousing and logistics based. It's actually pretty inconvenient for me, as the warehouse is 200 kilometers from here.
I understand the company has arranged for accommodation for you, Mark, so you are being well looked after. Anyway, you are all going to be seeing very different aspects of the functioning of the company. I think you should see this as an opportunity to really look into what the company's busiest time of year and analyze how they cope with the pressure.
Do you mean financial pressure?
I was thinking more in terms of human resources. Fruit Farmers is a very successful company, and I understand that despite the huge pressures of long hours and stressful circumstances that come with the seasonality of their product, they still manage to have a very low turnover of staff. This is apparently one of the secrets of their success. So, do you think we should look into how the company manages to maintain this? I think it could be a very interesting angle. What do you think, John?
Okay, perhaps we could base it on our own particular experiences?
Exactly. Well, the three of you can talk about this today and get back to me tomorrow with your idea.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
Now tell me, what do you know about fruit farmers? I see here you have written a kind of potted history of the company. Who wrote this? We all did. Fruit farmers sent us some material on the company when they gave us our placement information, so we put it together from that. Okay, let's go through it. I see the company started in 1968. Tell me about it, John.
In 1968, Robert Sanderson started importing bananas from Ecuador and Brazil. It was a one-man business for the first few years. In the early 70s, Sanderson also started importing fruit from the USA, starting with oranges from Florida, and then after heavy investment in new refrigeration technologies, he also started importing delicate strawberries and table grapes from California.
So, did this investment pay off? Yes, massively. It was a very high-risk operation at the time, as any problems or delays with transport could have resulted in the loss of the whole shipments. This was why fruit farmers had so little competition in the early days, but the demand for fruit products was almost endless. If Sanderson could get the fruit to Britain intact, it was certain that it could be sold through supermarket chains, which were also starting up at the time. The company grew quickly, and by the 1980s, fruit farmers had even started buying up fruit farms themselves, which massively increased how much money the company made. For example, they now own 30,000 hectares of strawberry farms in California, and more than double that area in grapevines. It would be interesting to hear about any setback the company did have in the early days, and you might add something about the competition the company has now. Mark, can you continue, please?
By the end of the 1990s, Fruit Farmers had 5,000 employees and was importing fruit to Britain from every continent. The company is still majority owned by the family, though they went on the stock exchange in 2005. Robert Sanderson retired after that, and the company is now run by his two daughters, Carolyn and Joan, and their families.
I suggest adding more information about the financial setup of the company. The family focus is very interesting. This university has had a long affiliation with the company, and we send placements there every year. So I trust that the three of you will represent us well. Make sure you get back to me tomorrow with an idea for your study project.
Thanks for seeing us.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
You will hear a part of a lecture about the development of human speech given at an anthropological conference. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 34. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 34.
Many scientists believe that human ability to speak only emerged around 300,000 years ago with the arrival of Homo sapiens and their ability to create a broad range of vowel sounds that previous hominids were incapable of. But a new study on the vocalization of other primates seems to indicate that the timing of the development of speech may be off by several millennia. It is thought that a primary factor in what defines human speech is the presence of contrasting vowel sounds. The different vowel sounds in totally unrelated words like met, meet, moat, mate, and might is all that differentiates them. It would be impossible to build a language without the variety of words that vowel variation supplies, and it had long been believed that only Homo sapiens had that ability. It has now been discovered that some primates that are around today also have the ability to create quite a few different vowel sounds, and we must have inherited this from a common ancestor. The new argument is not that any group of primates developed language at an earlier stage, but that an ancestor that we share with many primates also had the ability to create a wide range of vowel sounds. So this means that the physical ability for speech may have been around for at least 100 times longer than previously thought, and that the idea that an immediate human ancestor may have used speech cannot be eliminated.
Before you hear the rest of the lecture, you have some time to look at questions 35 to 40. Now listen and answer questions 35 to 40.
By analyzing X-ray videos of primate vocal structures, it was discovered that a number of primates were able to make contrasting vowel sounds and could even be physically capable of speech. Different vowel sounds require varying positions of the tongue, lips, and jaw, and for many years, before the X-ray analysis, it was believed that the reason that only humans could produce vowel sounds was because they have a flatter tongue and longer larynx than other primates. This theory was called the laryngeal descent theory. There has never been any doubt that primates could communicate with sounds to get the attention of other members of the group effectively, but speech involves a transfer of information that involves particular words having specific meanings that the recipient can understand. Not only does this require the muscular production of sound using the vocal tracts and the lips, but also a capacity for complex mental activity which only humans have. Comparisons have been made between the abilities of primate species to produce vowel sounds and the construction of their brains. Those who are more closely related to humans tend to be better at creating sounds and have been found to have larger areas of what is called cortical association. These are parts of the brain that receive and decide how to act on sensory information. It was also found that the apes that had the greater variety in the sounds they could produce also had more areas of the brain that controlled the movement of the tongue. It seems that the evolution of human speech was not caused by some evolutionary modification of vocal anatomy, but most likely by changes in the neural structure. A comparison of human genes with other species has highlighted a particular gene found in all animals, called FOXP2. The mutation of this gene in humans can result in problems with learning how to form some mouth movements. This has led some to believe that this particular gene enabled human speech. Where, when, and in which human ancestor species a language-ready brain developed is a complicated and fascinating field for further research. By studying the way our primate relatives, like chimpanzees, use their hands naturally to communicate and can learn human signs. Some scientists suspect that language developed first through gestures and was later made much more efficient through speech. Studies of chimpanzees' use of sign language may be a clue to how humans developed speech, and that gestures may have been part of the transition towards speech. Researchers are trying to find out when the cognitive leap took place, but unfortunately, records of speech are not found in archaeological finds. Some brain studies show that tool making and language are processed in the same part of the brain, and it has been hypothesized that the capacity for human speech may have evolved at the same time the earliest stone tools were crafted, some 2 million years ago.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
So guys, don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test and speaking, you got guesswork. Please guys, participate in everyday new IELTS listening and reading practice tests to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. For more IELTS material, visit my official website www.ieltsupdatesandrecentexams.com. The link is given below in the description. If you need PDF files of latest IELTS material, then please join my Telegram channel. So guys, please write your score below the comment section. Again, thanks for listening. God bless you all guys. Stay tuned, stay safe.